Today I am going to look at the best exotic in Destiny 2. Now there are some parameters to determine what is the best exotic, so let's go over those really quickly. Number 1 is applicable situations. Where does this apply? Do these apply in speedrunning? Do they apply in strikes? Do they apply in raids? Where all do these exotics apply, and what is the best overall for each of them? The next thing I'm going to look at is fun factor. Fun factor. Is it fun to shoot it? Is it fun to use it? Is it fun to move around with it? What makes this thing feel good to use? And yes, that one is a little bit subjective, but I think objectively we can agree on some of them. And finally, overall power output. How much damage does this thing do? Is it the strongest against a boss? In this category, it is all about the damage output and how it can help other weapons propel as well. Really quickly, I just want to say I am giving away 2 emblems right now on Twitter. The giveaway ends Wednesday, July 24th, so just make sure to hit the link in the description if you want to get a chance to win 2 emblems. Anyway guys, enjoy the video. Alright, so originally I had recorded this video and it was literally 30 minutes long. So I am going to narrow this one down a lot, so I will go through the honorable mentions very quickly. I have these all written down, so I'll go super quick. Lord of Wolves, Telesto, Wardcliff, Rat King, Huckleberry, Izanagi's, Outbreak, Bad Juju, Lumina, Whisper, Risk Runner, Jotun, Telesto, and Prospector. But now that we have eliminated all of those from the best PVE exotic, we can go into the top. So let's start with one that we are all pretty familiar with since it was one in Destiny 1 and it carried over to Destiny 2, the Thunderlord. This weapon pretty much allows the wielder to shoot lightning out of the barrel. When you shoot an enemy, it explodes them and all of the other adds around them. It does chain lightning damage, it speeds up, it also has feeding frenzy, but what is not to like about this? Is the fun factor there? I think so. I think it's a lot of fun shooting adds and seeing them explode and killing a bunch of them. However, for applicable situations, will you be using this in the raid? Well, yeah, but not always. You'll be using it for ad clear, you'll be using it for certain scenarios where you just have to kill a bunch of enemies quickly. It's great for something like Shuro Chi, it's great for the new raid, that first encounter. It definitely has its place in raids, so it definitely checks off there. Free roaming, is it a lot of fun to use this in free roam? I think so. Strikes, yeah, I think so too. I think it's really good in strikes, especially when you have arc burn and heavyweight. And finally, for speed running, I don't think it works for speedrunning, but I could be wrong there. And finally, overall damage output. Machine guns actually took a fat nerf with Season of the Drifter because they were so good. Hammerhead and Thunderlord were literally everywhere, so Bungie nerfed them quite a bit. So they're not going to be great for overall damage, but they are awesome for ad clearing and they are heavily just used. Now the next one we're going to be looking at is the 1000 voices, the one that you get out of the final chest that somebody that you always LFG with pulls it out first, but you can never get it. Yeah, this thing is extremely rare, but is it fun to use? Yeah, it is. I mean, you can literally draw a line like you're a marker with this thing. You beam a laser into a line and it explodes that whole entire line that you just shot. Now this thing has a chance to kill you, and yes, my teammates have stepped in front of me a million times over, but it's still so much fun to use this. Applicable situations, definitely good in raids. I mean, it's not the best for bosses, but it's very good for ad clear, similar to how Thunderlord is. The only thing that holds back 1K is its ammo capacity. Thunderlord has a lot of ammo. 1K, however, does not really hit that same mark with its ammo capacity. Free roaming, it's a lot of fun in free roam. I mean, just go around and just shooting things with the 1K. It's a lot of fun. Is it great for strikes? Of course. If you have solar burn and heavyweight, it is fantastic. I would say the best with solar burn and heavyweight. Speed running, however, I wouldn't say it's great for speed running, but the fun factor and most of these applicable situations do apply. However, overall damage output. Now, 1K did get a buff recently because it took a nerf initially because the frames on PC made it better than on console. It was doing a ridiculous amount of damage on PC because of the frame rate on PC. So Bungie actually nerfed it and then they rebuffed it in Season of the Drifter. So now it's very powerful. I wouldn't say it's better than some of the weapons that we have on here, but as a standalone weapon, 1K is the best for damage that we have on this list right now. The next one we're going to be looking at is the Anarchy. Oh boy, Anarchy. Wow, I love this weapon. It is similar to the 1K in the fact that you can only get it from the final chest of Scourge of the Past. So it has that 1K vibe where it's the rare drop that you get from a raid. Basically, Anarchy is what we call a passive exotic. So where does it apply? Well, the applicable situations in the raid all over. I mean, I use it for Callie to actually glitch the boss fight and break Callie to get her stuck in one place so you can finish her in 20 seconds. It works great on almost every single boss because you can use Anarchy and then you can swap to something like a mountaintop and you can just absolutely roast and get extra and extra and extra damage. It's great for that. Anarchy is also really fun to use. Anarchy allows the user to basically tag anybody and turn them into a weapon, unicorn, lightning, explosion. If I shoot my teammates sparrows and I tether them together, you can actually see them zooming and they can create a line and they can run over enemies. You can make shapes with this weapon. You can do a lot of fun, weird stuff. And yes, like I said, it breaks bosses. You can even go into Callus and you can fire and you can actually hurt him through his immune phase. So is it great for free roam though? I don't really think it's great for free roaming around and ad clearing. I don't really think it's amazing for ad clearing. There are ways that you can make it work for ad clearing and free roaming, but I wouldn't say it's the best for that. Strikes, however, I mean, if it is arc and heavyweight, there is no doubt I am using this over the Thunderlord just because of the damage that it can do to bosses, especially given the fact that you can use this as a passive exotic and somebody can use something like a mountaintop with this together and you can just roast a boss in about 10 seconds. And for speedrunning, I'm not sure where this one applies in speedrunning, but I would definitely say that it's going to be good just to get that extra damage, so it could have its uses in speedrunning. Overall damage output though, Anarchy itself is pretty high, but it's not the top, but it is a passive exotic like I said, so you can fire this onto a boss and you can swap to something else, doubling your damage, essentially using two weapons at once. The next weapon I'm going to look at is the Worldline Zero. Wait, what? Worldline, what? Why is this in the top 5? It's a sword, Evan. Let me explain. So Worldline Zero has a property, and yes, this is very niche, and this is definitely some bias on my part because I just love this exotic so much. Worldline allows the user to actually skate and fly through almost everything in the game. You can already skate with a warlock using a sword or just an orb like one that you would pick up from the Dreaming City. You can already skate with those. However, with a Worldline, you can do a lot more with your warlock. And yes, this is mostly specific to warlocks. You can use a golden gun with your hunter and Worldline skate like that. However, this is mostly specific to warlocks. So if you right click or hit right trigger or hit R2 while you're about to go off a ledge with your warlock and you hit the space A or X button when you teleport while your guy is basically gone, you can actually skate and go very far distances. So where does this apply? Well, fun factor, this is number 1, and there's really nothing even close to fun factor. Raids, this applies for just getting over obstacles much faster and much more efficient. Also, it applies for something like Scourge of the Past, moving around in that first encounter just to try to dunk the balls, or if you need to go somewhere, you can actually be faster than sparrows with this. You can also get out of the map on Scourge of the Past, although I know a lot of you aren't really going to do that, but that's just something that makes it even more fun to use on raids. You can even use this to do something like skip the jumping puzzle in Crown of Sorrows. That's what all speedrunning groups do. So that actually leads me to my next thing. This thing is the best for speedrunning out of all of them. And is it good for strikes? Well, it's not going to be your best damage output. However, Worldline is great for moving around and getting through strikes quicker. I mean, we can finish Strange Terrain in 3 minutes if we have the Worldline. And for free roaming, I would say it's my favorite for free roaming. I would say just running around and using this thing is the most fun part of Destiny for me right now. And finally, the tractor cannon. Okay, so the tractor cannon. Applicable situations. The raid? Absolutely. Who does not want a damage debuff on bosses up to 50%? Free roaming. Yes, you can blast ads and get a speed boost from it. Strikes? Of course. I mean, like I said, you can apply a debuff and you can swap to something like a mountaintop. Ad clearing, it's actually very good at ad clearing. It has a significant amount of range, and when you boop with it, it actually gives you a speed boost and it can clear ads very, very quickly. And for speedrunning, it is great to apply debuffs. Like I said, Tractor Cannon is one of the best out there. Now, is it fun to use though? Tractor Cannon is actually a lot of fun to use. I mean, whenever I shoot Tractor Cannon, you get a speed boost if you kill something with it, so you can run around really fast after shooting something with it. It also can stun enemies like wizards, so that makes it a lot of fun because you can just slide around and shoot this thing from pretty far distances, all things considered. And it sounds great, but that's just a personal bias of mine. Now finally, overall damage output with a Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon is similar to Anarchy in the fact that it doesn't do a lot of damage by itself. It's more of a passive exotic. However, I would argue that Tractor Cannon does a pretty significant amount of damage if you just keep firing with it. It's not going to be as strong as something like the 1K, and it's not going to be even as strong as something like the Thunderlord. However, this thing is really meant to be paired with something else, and I think it hits pretty hard. So now that we've gone through some of the best exotics, what is the best exotic? What hits all the parameters the hardest? Well, if you listen to my commentary, it would sound like the Worldline would be, or the Anarchy might be. However, I truly believe, objectively, that the Tractor Cannon is the best exotic in Destiny 2 PVE right now. I think as long as you are able to apply up to a 50% debuff on enemies, giving your team 50% extra damage, being able to swap to something like a mountaintop, especially with the meta that we have right now in Season of Opulence, I just think it makes sense that Tractor Cannon would be considered the best. It's great for raids, it's great for strikes, it's great for fun, it does pretty hard damage, and it just hits on a lot of these parameters harder than any other exotic that we have. I would say the runner-up would be something like Anarchy, followed by something like the Worldline Zero, because Worldline is just a ton of fun, and I think if you haven't done Worldline skating, you need to do it. I think after that I would put the Thunderlord, and then finally the 1K. Those would be my picks for the best exotics in that order. Tell me what you guys think though in those comments down below. I would love to hear it. If you guys did enjoy this video, a like would be greatly appreciated, as well as a subscription. And maybe you guys want to roast me on Twitch and tell me that my exotic list sucked, or that you really like my exotic picks. Anyway guys, the link for my Twitch will be in the description. I do appreciate all of the love that you guys show me, I really do, and I hope to make a PvP exotic tier list next. We will see how this video does though, guys. See ya.